So let's talk about the long-term strategy. Maximizing returns. The money. Why did you do this in the first place? Why would anybody consider doing any of this in the first place? Let's be honest. We're all real estate investors and we're all in this business at the end of the day to make money and support our families. In the subsidized housing model, you can also have a community impact. That said, however, you do have to still take into account all your responsibilities to your investors, your partners, and maximizing returns. Either you're investing in this property for the long haul or you're going to have a fast exit. We have clients on both sides. A couple, I think what would be most useful is to use some real world examples. So we've had a number of clients who are long-term buy and hold types. So they will acquire a property. Oftentimes they've picked up a property that is mostly vacant, half vacant, so there's an opportunity for value add. Using the subsidized housing model, they know that they don't need to make luxury apartments here. They can just make them nice, livable communities. And now we implement the subsidized housing model. We already have our partners in place. We're in the right market. The need is there. The subsidies are there. We know that the partners are going to be there and they're going to support their clients who are being referred to us as tenants. So all that is now in place. Now, what is the long-term strategy there? If you're doing a rehab situation and you know that you have, let's say, 30 days to have a set of rental units, our team or your team should be already developing a pipeline of renters and a wait list with your partners. So if you have renderings, or you can do pre-tours and work very closely with your nonprofit and government partners to identify a pipeline of potential applicants who would be best suited to your property. Now, there are many subsidies, as we've discussed. We've got the Section 8, like we discussed. We've got programs that are time limited, that are only going to be temporary. All of that has to be taken into account. A good example is a property was acquired for one of our clients. We helped them pick the site. We helped them underwrite the site. Site was acquired. Renovations were underway, and we were talking of a pipeline of 50 units per month that were coming online. So we had to move fast, create those relationships with those agencies, pick our partners, and then we already knew that because of the speed by which we had to move, we picked a program, a subsidy, that had a high volume of participants, of renters enrolled in the program to the subsidy. Their money was guaranteed as far as how they were going to pay rent. And we knew that that was the best strategy, because if you have to fill 50 doors to satisfy the bank note very quickly, you're going to not want to go with a program that maybe moves a lot slower and has a smaller population who are awarded that subsidy, because that's absolutely not going to match with your project timeline. So that's an evaluation that has to be determined early on in the project. There are other versions of this where a builder client of ours develops a brand new property, but they are not going to hold it. They've built it. They're going to fill it. They're going to get occupancy up to 100, and then they're going to offload it and exit to the next investor. So in that case, similar to the original example, we had to quickly identify the agencies operating in the market with the highest number of participants awarded a stable subsidy and be able to a renter pipeline. So the minute certificate of occupancy was on that building, we were able to immediately help their management team with the applications, getting the appropriate paperwork in and filling those units fast so that they were able to exit on the timeline that they needed. Now, on a smaller level, let's say you're more on the mom and pop side and you've got, let's say, a portfolio of a couple houses, some fourplexes. You're not going to be anytime soon or exiting anytime soon, and you have a little bit more luxury, you're not coming up on, you don't have investors, let's say, you don't have a bank note that's really pressing you to move super fast. In those situations, we can tailor the application of the right subsidy program to each property accordingly. And we can actually have a lot more thought put into it as far as what family would be most appropriate for this property because it's closer to schools. We have a little bit more time to match John Smith to this apartment because it's close to public transit. We can plan it out a lot more, which all of it obviously again is a case by case, but it's not one size fits all. Where we have seen the most things go wrong, and I'll be kind by saying that, where we have seen the most disappointment on the investor side, the landlord side, the owner side, is where people rushed into something. They went to a seminar with one of the agencies, got a bunch of confusing information, didn't fully understand it. Perhaps they partnered with the wrong agency, or they worked with an inexperienced social worker who they themselves was very new what they were doing, and just rushed into it. As a matter of fact, we will always educate and in many cases turn away a potential client who is trying to rush into a situation because they are just in a financial bind and they will just take anything and anyone. We don't want to do that. We would rather disappoint them with the truth up front versus posing everything as better than it actually is, only to have a disaster for them, the tenant, and then the government organization that's only trying to do good. That's not going to be good for anyone in there. So we always say, if we have time, let's maximize our time. Let's do the proper analysis on the situation. Let's understand the portfolio's needs and make the best decision possible, wherever possible, for the proper exit.